Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with The Last Huntsman Outdoors here, and today we're doing another Work Tuff gear knife. I got just a few more Work Tuff gear knives, and then we're going to be moving on to some other blades. I just got a big batch of Work Tuff gear knives to review, but this one is the Tayal, which, as earlier you guys seen, I reviewed the Red Wolf, and I really liked the Red Wolf. This is actually a very similar knife size, exception for it has more of that like trailing point on it, and it has just this little bit of a choil area. It's not really for putting a finger there, but other than that, the handles are the same, and you know, it obviously has that more kind of sweeping blade. Let's try this knife out. All right, while we're here, we'll go ahead and talk about just some of the basic specs. Like I said, this knife is very similar in size as the Red Wolf, and it's even about the same thickness. It's SK85 steel, and it's roughly about 5/32 thick, and it comes with Kydex sheath. I don't have a belt attachment on this one just because I think what happened when I got my batch of Work Tuff gear blades, you know, obviously I got them for testing and stuff, and I had just one belt attachment, and I put it on the Wolverine. So but generally this one will come with like kind of a nylon drop belt attachment with like a snap on it and all that good stuff, which I actually like quite a bit because you could easily put it on your belt without having to take your belt off. The Kydex sheath, I think the Kydex is just a little big for this knife. However, it is a taco style, has a drainage hole on it and stuff, and it does have awesome retention. It doesn't rattle or anything like that, so it's a great sheath, and it even has a decent little thumb ramp. And so all that being said, oh, and the blade is about a 5-inch blade. Well, it's a little more than a 5-inch blade, I'd say. I'd say it's between 5.5-inch blade. Let's go ahead and test this knife out. I'm going to go ahead and start off doing some batoning here. This piece of cedar. And it is a very high saber grind. Like, it's almost a full flat grind. You can't even hardly notice the saber secondary part there. Now I will say, when I am batoning with that point trailing back up like that, it does sometimes stab into my baton a little bit, like that, as I baton. Not a big deal, but it is something to be cognitive of. Also going to do some feather sticks with the Tayal here. The edge out of the box, as usual with Work Tuff gear knives, the edge came really nice. I will say Work Tuff gear is one of those companies that impresses me as far as like their fit and finish. And you know, I've had some knives that are $300-400 knives that does not come with as good of an edge out of the box as a Work Tuff gear. Now, is not having the sharpest knife in the world a deal breaker out of the box? No. Yeah, I could always resharpen it, reprofile it. But I will say this, to me that's part of edge or fit and finish. This does some amazing feathers. All right, so I'm not going to worry about fire right now. However, I am going to test the sharp spine here. And man, these Work Tuff gear knives has some really good spines on them. This is a Vic Lin design, by the way, the Tayal. And I will say, I think I think I'll have to come out and just straight up say it. I think Vic Lin and Aurora Borealis are a couple of my favorite designers with Work Tough gear. I also like the V44 quite a bit. But it does some great little fluff there. Let's see how well it strikes a ferro rod. Does pretty good at that too. I'm going to go ahead and do some notches with the Tayal here. And this being a 5-inch blade, it's going to be a very capable camp knife. That's kind of what I consider as like the camp knife size, is about a 5-inch blade. It's not really quite a small knife, and it's not really quite a medium-sized knife in my opinion too. And I know everybody kind of has their own classifications of what knife sizes are. Does a great tent stake. Let's go ahead and just cross grain baton this bad boy here. It being a Work Tough gear knife, I know it's going to hold up just like that. Tayal does pretty good. All right, so something about the Tayal too is it's a fairly lightweight knife. Like I said, it's only about 5/32 thick, so it's not going to be like a heavy chopper by no means. And I kind of would count this more as like a camp knife slash food prep knife slash skinning knife. It would be a great hunting knife actually, but it can. The way that handle flares back, and this is a Vic Lin design, like I said, and it feels very similar to the Red Wolf. It is very capable of just doing some light chopping. It's not going to be a heavy chopper by no means. It doesn't have the weight for that. But can do some light chopping. All right, another test I'm going to do with the Tayal from Work Tough gear. I'm just going to do my good old classic Ninja Death Grip, and I'm just going to do some slicing here. And like I said, the ergonomics on this is the same as the Red Wolf. So if you like the Red Wolf, the Tayal is going to feel great to you. And honestly, I'm just going to come out and straight up say it. I really liked the Red Wolf. The ergonomics was amazing to me, and this is no different. This one with a kind of just sweeping belly blade, it actually slices really good. And that's the thing about Work Tough gear too, is they got enough different styles and models that you pretty well pick your flavor. I'm doing that Ninja Death Grip too, and it's not giving me any hot spots or anything. And thing I also like is it has that gator grip on there. I love that. I hate a perfectly smooth handled knife, and this one having that texturing on there, it feels great to me. Even with just bare hands, it feels great to me. I have some good old rope here, if I don't stab myself. So that is something with a trailing point, is if you're used to more of like a westernized design where the point's kind of generally going forward, but now all of a sudden you're dealing with this point that's kind of trailing back, it is a little awkward to deal with. Honestly, I don't recall even having ever tested a trailing point. I mean, I've had some before, but I've never really reviewed one. That being said, it does cut rope really good. All right, so this is going to be a fairly short review, just because this knife is actually very similar to the Red Wolf. And so if you really like the Red Wolf, or you're kind of looking at the Red Wolf, but you want something kind of different, then the Tayal is definitely an awesome option for a knife as well. And of course, it does have the lanyard hole that kind of recessed up in there. That's a neat little touch to things too. My overall impressions on this knife is I like this knife. I think overall I lean on the Red Wolf a little more. But that being said, I do really like this one. Now, I'm actually going to be giving this knife away. So if you want to see a part 2 review of this knife, be sure to check out Peterbilt Knife Guy. He's an awesome knife reviewer. He's big on just big chopping knives and stuff, but I've been telling him, hey dude, you need to check out some of the Work Tough gear knives, and I think he's gotten a couple now, but I'm gonna be sending this one to him, so he's gonna be doing his own review on this knife as well. So tell me what you guys think. As always, oh, I'll throw out one little thing too. This would also, just like the Red Wolf, this would actually make a decent soldier knife. It has a deep guard on it. It indexes very well. You would have to kind of train yourself on the stabbing and thrusting because it's not a straight tip. So there is some advantages if you ever look at like martial arts and stuff with like a curved blade. And even with stabbing, you can still do it. It just takes a little bit of different technique. So if you are like a soldier or something, you just want something badass for a soldier knife, this would do the trick pretty well for that too. So yeah, be sure to check out Peterbilt Knife Guy. He's going to be receiving this knife, and I'm eager to see what he thinks of it. I think he'll actually like it quite a bit, especially with some of his little cutting and chopping tests and stuff. I think he'll have fun with it. But with all that being said, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.